Raider Nation, you know I'm all about deals, so let's make a deal here on today's show. If Marcus Peters signs with the Las Vegas Raiders, for every 500 likes that this video gets, that means I'm going to go live for 1 hour, and I'm a visual person. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, this video gets 2,000 likes. Jeremy Chugs and I are going to be live breaking down the signing of Peters with the Raiders for 4 hours. That's the challenge. Are you going to like the video? I guess we're going to find out. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. It's Mitchell Reds here from Chat Sports. And coming up here on today's show is this man right here going to be signing with the Silver and Black. It's going to have my answer coming up here in just a little bit. But today's show is presented by Roan. And if you like the shirt I got rocking right now, you need to listen up because we're going to be dropping some knowledge. 20% off when you use promo code CHATSPORTS. Roan helps you get ready for any occasion with the Commuter Collection, which offers the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, and polos. You never have to worry about what to wear when you have the Roan Commuter Collection. Looking good is easy. It's time to feel confident with a wrinkle-free shirt without the hassle. With Roan's wrinkle release technology, wrinkles disappear as you stretch and wear the shirt. It's that easy. The Commuter Collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Head to roan.com/chatsports and use promo code CHATSPORTS to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/chatsports and use code CHATSPORTS. It's time to find your corner office of comfort. The reason why I love Roan is simplicity. I know when I put this shirt on, I'm going to look good, I'm going to feel confident, and I can wear it with drinks with the boys, hanging out with Chugs after work, date night with Alex. It has all that versatility and wrinkle-free technology, which means I don't got to worry about ironing it before I put it on. Go check it out. The link's going to be available for you guys down in the comments and in the description of today's show. Shout out to Roan for sponsoring the Raiders Report. So the reason why we're talking about Marcus Peters today is because we got a little bit of an update, and there was a report out there per Mike Dixon on Twitter, and he told me that Peters is expected to sign with the Las Vegas Raiders next week. I saw the report out there on Twitter, so I had to slide in my guy's DMs, and I said, dude, give me a little bit more information here. Why are you throwing this out here? And I'll tell you this, after conversations that I've had with him, after pictures that he sent me, which saying kind of weird, right? Grown man sliding his DMs. Mitch, what kind of pictures is he sending you? He's sending me pictures that is indicating to me on every aspect that at the end of next week, Marcus Peters is going to be a member of the Las Vegas Raiders. And he told me that the deal is already verbally handshook. There it is. Has the dotted line been signed? No, and until the dotted line is signed, at this point it is still speculation. It is only a rumor. However, I do trust Mike, and I do trust his sources here, and that's why I'm a big believer that Marcus Peters is going to be a member of the Las Vegas Raiders come next week. So let's continue to look here on everything going on around this story, and the reason why I find it interesting is because sitting down, talking to some sources here, Peters' team wants to have his agency make the announcement. So this is actually something that is starting to pop up a little bit more often where certain agencies want to make the announcement, similar to how Klutch Sports Group does it with Rich Paul's agency. Essentially, that's just trying to get them to have more athletes join their group, and it also creates notoriety, if you will, for that agency as well. The other cool part about Peters and the update is that he was in Vegas last week, and I was told that he's just right now getting things organized in terms of where his move's going to happen, all the other logistics that sometimes, I'll be honest, that we just as regular people, I'll call ourselves, don't think about when a player has to go to the NFL. But as far as I'm concerned, from what I understand, this is going to be essentially a done deal. Peters' agency wants to build a reputation that they're going to be the agency that makes the announcements, that they're going to be the agency that keeps it pretty secretive, and there's been some reports out there here and there, but at the end of the day, they believe that if they are more secretive, that more players are going to want to come to their agency, and then therefore end up signing more money for both sides. So to me, I know this, okay, and I'm going to stick pretty well here with a source that says Marcus Peters is going to be on the Raiders in the next 2 weeks. I am making this video Wednesday, July 19th. 2 weeks from now, from what I understand, Peters is going to be on this team. Now, don't get me wrong. Anything can happen. Things can change. You never know what's going to happen in somebody's personal life. But if things stay on track, right? And for people who have watched this show before, knows that Peters has been only a matter of time before he joined this team. But if everything stays on track and there are no hiccups, and I say that with a grin on my face because we cover the Las Vegas Raiders here, and we're all Raider fans, and man, it never seems to run as smooth as what you're hoping that it ends up doing. But if there are no bumps in the road, Marcus Peters will be a member of the Las Vegas Raiders. But hey, we've talked a lot about rumors. I thought that Josh Jacobs was going to end up getting a contract extension. I thought Barkley was going to get a contract extension. Sometimes things don't go the way that you ultimately think that they're going to be planned. So my question to every single person that comes across this show is, do you think that the Raiders are going to sign Marcus Peters? We're talking week 1. We're talking August. He's on this roster. Is that going to happen? I want you to type yes down in the comments, or I want you to type your N for no. My answer is yes. I do think Peters is going to be a member of this team, and that is why I am giving it 4 just win babies. For people who watch this show a lot, that means I am 100% confident that this ends up going down. For Mike to show me what he showed me, and for him to show me some of the things in terms of the conversation, some pictures that were floated out there, I greatly appreciate that. But he's flat out telling me, hey man, my connections are telling me that Peters is going to be signing with the Raiders by next week. Then you go back to Vic Tafur. He said that the Raiders were expected to sign him before training camp. I don't know if the training camp necessarily is going to happen before it, I should say, because that's July 25th is when veterans report. But then again, that is also coming up here right around the corner. Well, I've had Graphk Raider on this show all the way back in March, and he said he spoke with Peters at the Pro Bowl, and Peters wanted to be a member of the Raiders, and Graphk is throwing out there the idea that this deal is going to get done. It's just a matter of, does it happen next week or does it happen in early August? But nonetheless, a lot of sources that I talk to, and then you cross off even more sources out there that I am just now meeting. Then you got Graphk, you got Vic Tafur, lots and lots and lots of smoke around Peters joining the Silver and Black, and you know what we say. Where there's a lot of smoke, there's fire. So to me, Peters wants to play for the Raiders, and it's going to happen soon. The only thing that I hope you do after hearing that information, well, I should say 2 things. First off, you better have liked the video. Second, if you haven't subscribed and you don't have those notifications turned on, that's on you. Because if this video gets 3,000 likes, I'm going to be live for 6 hours. If this video gets 4,000 likes, 8 hours. Chugs and I are going to be going absolutely positively insane. And I want y'all to be joining us here while we break down the news, while we break down everything that happened, because there is nothing, and I mean nothing, like a breaking news story here on the Raiders Report. We're going to let our hair down, and we're going to show y'all why we get down. It's going to be like an Oakland tailgate if you miss those. So coming up next here on the Raiders Report, sponsored by Roan, what will Marcus Peters bring to this defense? Because, let's face it, if you're Patrick Graham, if you're Josh McDaniels, if you're Dave Ziegler, you could talk a lot about how some people, which I'm on social media, and if you don't follow me, Mitchell Rents 365, people are talking about, oh, I don't like McDaniels, I don't like Ziegler, I don't like Patrick Graham. I am tough on all of those people. But I am really tough on the Raiders defense. And if there's one thing that I know all Raider fans have in common, can we get a top 20 defense? Haven't had a top 20 defense since 2011, something crazy like that. Haven't had a top 10 defense since all the way back to 2002. I don't know if Peters is going to help you get to that type of caliber, but you can't be the laughing stock of the NFL on defense, especially when you're in a division with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. I'm going to laugh at Russell Wilson a little bit, but Sean Payton, what if he gets Russell Wilson playing back to what he was? You can't have a bad defense and expect to win. So what is Peters going to be bringing here to the Silver and Black, and why should the Raiders end up signing him? This team needs to force more turnovers. I mean, you had dead last in the NFL last season in interceptions and forced fumbles. That simply can't happen. If you're losing the turnover battle essentially every single week, it's hard for you to win football games. And you can say what you want about Peters taking a step back, let's say, because he's 30 years old now. He's not the prime-time Pro Bowl cornerback that he once was. But you know what he's always been able to do? He's always been able to create turnovers, whether that be interceptions. And in 2022 last year, he had an interception. Before the injury in 2020, 4 interceptions. 2019, 5 picks. But guess what? My favorite thing that he's doing now at this point of his career, it almost reminds me a little bit of Ed Reed. And I'm not saying that they're similar players, but his ability to punch out the football. And good players, veterans, especially in the secondary, they stick around for a long time because even though they know that they lose a step, and Peters is as aggressive as they possibly come. So when you lose that step, you have to have the mental capacity, the mental sharpness to understand, well, how can I still remain relevant in the NFL? How can I still help my team win football games? And yes, Peters gives up more receptions than he did when he was a young man. But now he's still being able to create turnovers. 2 forced fumbles back in 2022. 4 forced fumbles back in 2020. The Raiders defense needs somebody that can create turnovers because I also think that turnovers are contagious, which, let's face it, we need some freaking turnovers, man. Let's go to the next thing coming up here of why it makes some sense. Not going to cost a lot of money. This team doesn't have a lot right now as it stands in terms of salary cap space. But if I see Rocky Sin going for $6 million and where we are currently at in the offseason, the NFL draft is come and gone. The free agency period is come and gone. Now we're getting ready to get into training camp and all that kind of good stuff. I don't think it's going to cost more than $4 million. And if it does cost more than $4 million, that means Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels did something wrong. If the Raiders give Peters more than $4 million per year, I'm going to look at them and say, you gave Marcus Peters over $4 million, but you didn't have enough money to give Josh Jacobs a contract extension. It will be a little bit of a head scratcher. The next reason here, and this is one of the biggest reasons, he fits the Patrick Graham system. Far too often when people do, we'll say, these type of shows, or far too often when XYZ company writes an article of, hey, this would be a great fit with this team. They don't actually look at the scheme. They just look at a player and they go, okay, the Raiders need help in the secondary. This player would be a great fit. Well, when it comes to Peters, I'm going to paint 2 pictures here because it's very important. Some of y'all right now are looking at these coverage stats, and you're saying 64.3% completion percentage against, quarterback rating of 113.7. Mitch, 7 touchdowns allowed. How the hell does this guy fit our system? He's washed. He's old. I've heard everything I've said up on this show, and I have said, and I will be honest, that Peters is coming off his worst season of his entire career. But you know why? It's because the Baltimore Ravens didn't use him in the right way. And the Raiders, they're going to run press man. They're going to be physical. That's what Peters likes to do. And they're going to run a lot of man coverage. Last season, when Peters was in man coverage, he was targeted 28 times. He gave up 12 catches for 183 yards, a quarterback rating of 81.2. So you're telling me a Raiders defense run by Patrick Graham that's going to play man. Peters can still play man. The Raiders want to do press man. When you look at Duke Shelley, when you talk about David Long Jr., Nate Hobbs, these are physical corners. Marcus Peters is willing to get physical. And then you're talking about something that Patrick Graham said over the offseason that was basically along the lines of we need to create more turnovers. A week later, Brandon Faison talks about minicamp, mandatory OTAs, and saying what's something that you guys are really learning and trying to hold in on the defensive side of the football. He said creating more turnovers. That is, I literally just described Marcus Peters to you, and this is a team that wants a veteran corner. On top of wanting a veteran corner, you need somebody like a Casey Hayward. You need somebody like a Deron Harmon. When you have all these really, really young players to be that, I don't want to use the word father figure, but to be that player coach out there that can help some of these younger vets be able to get it together. Think about your job. You got your COO, you got your CEO, and then everybody you work with. What if Peters was that middleman that can really translate a lot of the language barriers that, let's face it, Josh McDaniels has, and that Dave Ziegler have, and that Patrick Graham probably have. That's why I like the move. And the final reason is, dude wants to be a Raider. Like, I can never stress this enough. When a player wants to be a part of a team, that is light years ahead of somebody who's just trying to get it in for the money. Peters grew up being a Raiders fan, and right now the current state of the nation after a 6-11 season with we'll call it what it is, the murky waters with the whole Jacobs situation, with how the whole Derek Carr thing ended up going. I don't know if there's a lot of players out there that really want to join this team. So you're looking at a young cornerback roster right now with Duke Shelley, Tyler Hall, Nate Hobbs, but in the snap of a finger, you can add somebody like Peters that gives you a little bit more swagger, that's also going to be happy to put on that Raiders album, to be happy to rep those silver and black colors. So when you have a veteran that can step in and be that player coach, that wants to be a Raider, that is contagious not only on the football field, but in the locker room. And this Raiders team needs leaders. You got a great one in Max Crosby already. You got a great one in Devontae Adams. But guess what? It can never hurt to have players that really, truly want to play for your roster. And for all those reasons are why the Raiders need to go out and sign Peters. So my final question here on today's show, and if you made it this far, hey, shout out to y'all. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. How excited would you be if, let's say you're sitting at work, you're having dinner with wifey, or maybe you're having dinner with the kids, or hell, I don't even care. I'll be honest, a lot of the DMs that I answer is when I'm dropping a number 2. Hopefully you don't put a number 2 down in the comments right now. But how excited would you be if you're sitting there, pops up on your phone, Las Vegas Raiders sign Marcus Peters? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 being, you're not excited at all. 10 being, let's frickin' ride, Mitch. We're about to bang on the Raiders report. I would say it would be a solid 7 in excitement. At least that's what I put on my Tinder profile. But in terms of 7 of excitement for being able to add Peters, it's simply because this team needs defense. I want somebody that really, truly wants to be a part of this team, somebody that can help force turnovers, and then anytime I can add an extra source into my repertoire that helps me help all of y'all and get extra information ahead of time, I'll take that every single day of the week. Shout out to all the real ones out there. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, because it sounds like Peters is going to be a Raider. The question is, are you going to be tuned in watching the Raiders report when it goes down?